So today we are going to study about a letter to God, and this is a story about Lencho. So Lencho was a farmer and he writes a letter to God, but we will try to understand why did he write a letter to God, and did the God reply to him? Have you ever written any letter to God? Do you know his address? Do you know whether God would ever reply to you if you write a letter to God? So we will try to examine this means complicated idea of writing a letter to God. Why would somebody write a letter to God? So in this story we are going to learn about this fact. So before we start, let me tell that this is a very beautiful story, and we'll try to examine, we'll try to point out many things through this chapter. One thing is themes of the story or the plot lines, that is the sequence of events within the story. We'll try to extract out different vocabulary, different difficult words that we encounter in between the text, and as well as we'll try to analyze the characterization of the person, means the protagonist or antagonist that we found in any piece of work. That is, a protagonist is the main character of the story, and the antagonist is the character who is opposite to or who opposes the protagonist, or who plays a villainous type of role in the story, that we call as antagonist. So in this story, Lencho is the antagonist, so we will try to do correct characterization of that one also, and we will try to bring a critical appreciation of the topic. Critical appreciation or criticism of the topic. Criticism doesn't mean criticizing something. Criticism means to bring a critical appreciation of the topic. So, a letter to God. So, you must have written letters through post office or through email or through different ways. But have you ever thought of writing a letter to God? Have you ever paid any attention that you are going to write a letter to God? Let's suppose you write a letter to God. What are the hurdles that you are going to encounter between? One of the most important hurdle that you are going to encounter is nobody knows as to where God lives. So you cannot detect the address, or you cannot even write the address of God, isn't it? And forget about the post office man delivering it to God, because you have not been able to pinpoint the address as to where the post should be or the letter should be delivered. So this is one of the important difficulties. So we'll try to understand, why does Lencho writes a letter to God, and what was the reason behind writing such letter to God, and did the God reply in response to the letter? We'll try to examine all these things. So let's have a discussion. Let's have a study of this chapter. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. The only thing that the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards northeast. So there was a valley, and in that valley there was only a single house, the only one. Okay, that means there was only a single house, and that sat on a crest of a low hill. So what is crest? Crest is basically the top, and there was a hilly area, and on that on the crest, on the top of that hill, this house was there. And from this side, one could see the river. So there was a river also, and when the height was, or when you arrive at that room, you can find that there was a river running in the valley, and that can be watched from there itself. And a field of ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. And ripe corn, what is ripe corn? Ripe corn means those corn or those grains who have already been ripened, मतलब पक गया है. So that field was filled with ripe corn, dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. And it was so lined in such a beautiful ways, as if it was looking dotted with flowers. And because it was ripened and there was flowers, presence of flowers, so it promised a good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. तो जो एक चीज, मतलब यहाँ पे क्या होता है, जो एंटायर वैली है, एंटायर वैली में एक हाउस है, ठीक है, एंड वो कहाँ पे था, जो हिल एरिया का टॉप पे था, और वहाँ पे कोई जाता है तो वो रिवर को देख सकता है, ही कैन वॉच द रिवर. और वहाँ पे फील्ड में राइप कॉर्न होता है, यानी कि जो फील्ड होता है दैट वाज उस पे जो फसल होते हैं वो पके हुए होते हैं, और इसी वजह से उससे एक गुड हार्वेस्ट, यानी कि अच्छे से फसल मिले बोल के एक्सपेक्ट किया जा सकता है. The only thing that the earth needed was a downpour or at least a shower. जो एक सिंपल सा चीज उसको चाहिए था, अर्थ को चाहिए था, वो क्या था, that needed a downpour or at least a shower. मतलब थोड़ा सा पानी उसको चाहिए था, मतलब थोड़ा रेन चाहिए था, ताकि वो हरा भरा और फल फूल सके, ठीक है. तो throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky to the northeast. तो टोटल मॉर्निंग के टाइम पे थ्रू आउट द मॉर्निंग, लेंचो, जो कि अपना फील्ड को अच्छे से जान पाता था, इंटीमेटली मीन्स थोरोली, जिसको अपने फील्ड के बारे में बहुत अच्छे से पता था. लेंचो न्यू हिज फील्ड वेरी इंटीमेटली, ही न्यू इट थोरोली. So he was doing nothing except watching the sky towards northeast. So he was expecting or shower or downpour of, means at least a little bit downpour of rain. Okay, and so this is the reason why he was observing the sky towards northeast. From the northeast side there would be rain, so he was waiting for the rain from that side. Now we are really going to meet some water woman. The woman who was preparing supper replied, yes, God willing. The older boys were walking in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house, until the woman called to them all, come for dinner. तो जो वुमेन था जिसने सपर प्रिपेयर कर रहा था, सपर मतलब जो रात के टाइम पे एक छोटा सा, मतलब स्मॉल मील होते हैं, उसको सपर बोला जाता है, एक लाइट मील. तो जो वुमेन था उसने जो रात के टाइम के लिए खाना बना रही थी, वो मतलब वो रिप्लाई करती है जब ये लेंचो बोलता है कि कुछ पानी बरसने वाला है, तो रिप्लाई करता है, अगर भगवान चाहे तो yes, definitely there is going to be water, or definitely there is going to be rain. The older boys were walking in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house, until the woman called to them all, come for dinner. तो जो बड़े बड़े बच्चे थे वो लोग फील्ड में काम कर रहे थे, और जो छोटे लोग थे वो क्या कर रहे थे, वो हाउस के पास खेल रहे थे. तो वो वुमेन सबको बुलाती है डिनर के लिए. एंड इट वॉज ड्यूरिंग द मील दैट जस्ट एज Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of cloud could be seen approaching. The air was fresh and sweet, and the man who went for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These are not raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. The big drops are tens and fishes, and the little ones are 5." तो हम क्या देखते हैं? हम देखते हैं कि जो वुमेन थी, ठीक है, तो देखते हैं जब बुलाती है खाने के लिए, तो मील के टाइम पे क्या होता है, जैसे लेंचो ने प्रेडिक्ट किया था कि पानी बरसने वाला है, तो वाटर इज गोइंग टू फॉल. तो जिस टाइम पे खा रहे थे उस टाइम पे रेन आता है, ठीक है. और इन द नॉर्थ ईस्ट ह्यूज माउंटेन्स ऑफ क्लाउड्स कुड बी सीन अप्रोचिंग. और नॉर्थ ईस्ट में देखते हैं कि मतलब बहुत बड़े बड़े बादल घिरे मतलब आते रहते हैं. द एयर वॉज फ्रेश एंड स्वीट. तो एयर था, जो हवा था वो बहुत फ्रेश था, स्वीट था. And the man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These are not raindrops falling from the sky. There are new coins. The big drops are tens and pieces, and the little ones are 5." तो जो आदमी था वो बिना कुछ कारण के लिए मतलब जाता है, then to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. और अपने बॉडी में वो ये अनुभव करना चाहता है कि मतलब पानी पड़ने से कितना फ्रेश लगता है, ठीक है. इसी वजह से ही वो बाहर निकल जाता है. और एयर तो वहाँ पे ऐसे ही मतलब बहुत अच्छे थे, तो बाहर निकलता है. और रिटर्न होके वो सरप्राइज में बोलता है कि ये जो पानी गिर रहा है स्काई से, वो पानी नहीं है. दीज आर न्यू कॉइन्स. Big drops are tens and pieces, and the little one are 5. तो 10 cent. Cent क्या होता है बेसिकली? Cent is a currency in a country, but besides that, if you look at American currency, you can find that a cent is just a piece of dollar. Like for example, we call paisa is just a piece of your coin or रुपीज. सो ये जो पानी मतलब बरस रहा है स्काई से, वो कोई नया कॉइन, ये नया कॉइन है. और इसका कहने का मतलब क्या होता है, जो बड़े बड़े कॉइन्स हैं वो 10 सेंट पीसेस हैं, और जो लिटिल कॉइन्स हैं वो 5 सेंट का है. वो कहने का मतलब क्या था? व्हाट वाज द रीजन बिहाइंड सेइंग दिस? द रीजन वाज वेरी सिंपल. दैट वाज कि ये बोलना चाहते थे कि जो हार्वेस्ट होने वाला है, दैट इज गोइंग टू गिव sufficient livelihood, or that can give the sustenance for the person. So he said that these are new coins.